Hello YouTube, this is your boy Fennekin. Today is October 29th, 2025, and I wanted to do something interesting. This is kind of like a podcast setting. It's basically me giving a few story times, right, and some interesting stuff that I've seen in my life. You know, a lot of it isn't really too groundbreaking per se, but it's something that I kind of want to give up. I don't necessarily want to get it off my chest, but I just want to say it now, just in case, like in years from now, right? If I want to like retell the story, right, I'll probably forget it sooner than later because this took place about like 6 years ago, right? And it happened legit in the moment where I do remember a lot of details from it, but I feel like at the same time, I'm probably gonna get some stuff murked up and like, I'm probably gonna tweak a few things because I just don't necessarily remember the full entire plot of what took place. But I will get on to my story now because that's basically just me explaining on why I'm doing this. So, and by the way, keep in mind I've already told the story before around the same time that it actually happened, like legit the day after it happened or the night of, it happening, right? Like the night later, like literally like a few hours after the whole thing, I'd probably talked about it. And I think the YouTube video itself got even put on like a playlist or something. I don't know. I remember seeing that like around the same time I uploaded the video, but because it was a video of me wearing like a gray Salt and Pepper t-shirt, not the band, but the not the group, but the like just like the salt and pepper condiments, right? The shakers. And it's basically a story about this one racist teacher I've had, right? And again, this was years ago, 2019, 6 years ago, right? And I don't even know where the teacher is nowadays, right? But it took place back then, right? And I just thought like, this is just something I just want to give off. Now, I don't want to like really ruffle any feathers or anything like that. What she said was pretty racist, but it wasn't like she said the N-word or anything, right? That's all I gotta say. I'm not like defending her, but what she said was just very, because if she said something worse, she probably would have gotten like cold clocked in her face, right? Which is kind of fucked up because she was like 65 at the time, right? Now she's like 70 something now, more than likely 70, right? But I will get on to the whole thing. So a little bit of backstory on who this teacher was. So this teacher, her last name was Smith, right? No, she's not related to me at all, thank God, right? But that is her last name, and she had the tendency of being kind of an a-hole, right? She began teaching at that school that I went to, the middle school, around 1991, 1992. 1992, I believe, was her first year, and up to that point, that was like her 27th, 28th year as a teacher at that school. And she's always had the tendency of being kind of a no-nonsense, asshole-ish type of teacher, right? The teacher that like they help you, right? And she's like helpful, but she's also pretty much an asshole, right? And someone that has like cranky issues, like older boomer cranky issues type. That was her, right? And I remember this one time. Shout out to my boys. I'm not gonna mention their names, but I'll mention, because I don't want to like fully give out any names, right? But shout out to my boy G, and shout out to my boy E. That's what I'll refer to them as. I remember one time in class, this was 7th grade, right? Because this is when the whole thing took place. We were writing down, we were looking at the smart board, right? Which is like the board with like the technology stuff on it, right? With the projector. And we were writing down, we were like copying down like something that she wrote, or like it was something off a textbook, right? And she kept on like writing it, but she kept on scrolling, right? Like kind of fast. Like she didn't give us any time to like finish it. And they both kind of commented. She was like, "Can you slow down? Like, because you're going so fast." And then she got a little agitated, and she's like, "Wow, you guys can't keep up with a 65-year-old woman? How pathetic." I'm thinking to myself, you're the one that's controlling the fucking mouse cursor, right? Like you're controlling the mouse cursor. It's not like we have the power to just take the mouse cursor, scroll back up, and just look. No, you're the one that's controlling it. Just make sure that everyone is done first, right? Because usually I've had teachers do that before, like whenever they write something down, right, or they're making sure they see enough people are looking up, right, without their pencil, without, writing something down, right, and they're like, okay, so we all done? Okay, let me flip to the next page, or let me scroll down so you guys can copy off this. That's like proper etiquette, right? Or just in my opinion, I've seen that with other teachers. But for her, she just like she never commented or anything like that. She wrote something down, right? And after she wrote it down, she probably thought that, oh, okay, everybody else is probably done. So then she just scrolled down without ever being like, hey guys, is anybody else need some time, right? That's just one instance, right? So just to kind of give the impression of what kind of teacher she was, right? And she would always get mad about the most random thing. Like I remember when a bunch of kids got up, right? We were leaving because the bell rang or something like that, and she didn't want us to leave. She's like, no, I'll call you guys by table, okay? I didn't say you guys could leave, right? I'm not giving the correct tone any justice because the way she said it was very like, it's like, oh, you got a fucking problem or something, right? Again, typical like boomer, angsty, like, very irritated, right? She's just done, right? Because like, again, at that point, she's like in her 28th year of teaching fucking middle school science and shit. Like, we're not going to become the next Albert Einstein, so calm down, lady, right? Or like next Isaac Newton. But I remember this one time, and this is before I'll get into the whole racist spew, that eventually, I don't know if I said this, but it actually made it onto the news. But I told it in my original video of this, but, I'll get on to that. I remember one time, I honestly didn't know shit about science during that time. I still somewhat don't. I'm not like flexing or saying that, oh yeah, dude, I don't know shit about science. Listen, science was cool when I did it for my senior year of high school. I did not science. I did biology, which I guess is science, right? But it was botany, which is the study of plants, and then I did some other stuff. But then like around January of 2025 this year, I started dissecting cats, bro. Like me and my homeboy Hunter, shout out to Hunter, bro. We did that shit for like an entire like between January to my last day. To my last week in May, we did that shit, right? We dissected everything, bro. It was fucking crazy, man. I feel bad for some of the kids, for some of the students, man. Shout out to everybody in that class. That class was fun as fuck, man. The class was awesome. But when I had her science class, man, I didn't know shit. To this day, I forgot what the fuck we even learned, right? Like, we didn't learn anything from the periodic table or anything like that. We didn't learn anything from... I think it was just like... I don't know if it was anything to do with cells or anything like that, but it was something to do with... It was something, right? And she did this one thing where she did selective, like calling on people, right? And it's like, oh my god, bro, don't call on me, right? So then she calls on a bunch of people, right, to like answer, to like fill in the blanks to like specific questions, right? And she goes to me, right? She like this is like literally like 10 seconds before the buzzer rings, right? The bell sounds, where we get to go to lunch, right? And then she points at me, and then she's like, she's very nice to me, by the way. She wasn't like agitated with me or anything like that. She was actually very respectful to me. But she tapped on me, like not tapped on me. She pointed at me to answer the fill in the blank. I had no fucking clue. And then the bells sounded and everything like that. People were trying to leave, but then people couldn't. She's like, no, you guys have to stay, he's figuring it out. And I'm like, dude, I don't fucking know, man. People are looking at me and shit like that. And then fucking Jackson, right? He was some kid I used to know. Jackson, I was gonna say his last name. He goes over, right? He's a little irritated. He's like pointing at the thing to like fill in the blank, because we're looking at textbooks, right? He's like, this goes right here. And he didn't say that. He just points at the thing without even saying anything. He points us like this. He's like, boom, boom. And I filled it in, and then we had to go. Right? And I felt embarrassed, bro. Like, really? Man, you had to select on me, man? I don't even fucking remember what the fuck it was, man. I don't even remember what the hell we were learning, anything like that. And I wasn't a bad student. I was actually really good, right? But at that, I'm just, like, bad at, like, if it's something that I'm just not fully, like I don't know a lot about, right? Like, I'm good with, like, pairs of people, right? I'm better at interacting with that. But, like, when you're under all this pressure and stuff like that, it's like, come on, bro. This shit's stupid, right? But now, after all that, we'll go on to the whole rant thing, right, about her being racist. So, around this time, this was probably like a few weeks before this time. This was like some, like maybe early, mid-October maybe. Might have even been after that, I don't know. In this class, right, we sat at places where we wanted to sit at, I believe. I believe that's how it went. And I sat at this one table with a few kids, right? And the table next to me, right, had 4 black kids, right? And I'm not going to mention their names, but one of them was E, who I mentioned earlier. The main girl who got her in trouble, fired, right? This school, okay, so let me just say this. The school that I went to actually didn't say she fired. They said that she got retired, that she like went and retired. I don't think that's true. A lot of people in my school more than likely believe she got fired, right? Because of it, because it caused such an outrage, which is crazy, right? Because it's like, you know, she had it coming to her, straight up, right? I'm not saying it's crazy that she obviously deserved to, you know, because there's been stories of just people saying how much of a teacher, how much of a pain in the ass she is, right? But people kind of just deal with it because, well, what the fuck, you know, there's a bunch of fucking 12-year-old, 13-year-olds, right? What the fuck are you gonna do, right? But yeah, it was her, E, and 2 others. I'm not gonna mention their names. Shout out to them though, because they're really cool as fuck. And, you know, 3 girls, 1 dude, right? And we're all being loud in that fucking classroom, right? We're all being loud in that bitch, right? Most of us, right? We're not loud, but we're just talking a lot, right? And like, she's just trying to get us to be quiet, right? But we're just like talking and talking and talking all that junk. And she goes over to them. She like walks over to them and stuff like that, right? And she says that, I know it's customary in your culture to be loud. I need you guys to tone it down a little bit, okay? I know it's customary in your culture for people like you, of what you guys do, right? I understand that it's, you know, you guys are supposed to, you know, have a lot of energy, right? But I just need you guys to cut it out a little bit, all right? And then she walked, and I'm thinking to myself, whoa, bro. Why'd she go up to them and say that? She went up to them specifically, because I vividly remember this. She went up to them. I was sitting next to it, right? We're sitting on stools, not chairs, stools, right? And we just saw that. I'm like, whoa, man. She just went up to them. She claps not claps. Her hands are like gripped together, right? Like she's like a library, right? That's like asking you first, like, you need some assistance. That's what she kind of. Like she kind of had that like posture, right? And then she goes up to them and she asks them, and then she just says that, and then she walks back to her desk, right? And she stands, and we all just look, and then that literally cut out the whole class, like the whole sound, everything, right? One of the females that was at the table, right? As was shocked, they're all shocked, right? But she's shocked the most, from what I can remember. Then school, you know, we get out, stuff like that, we go to lunch and stuff like that, school's over and shit like that, you know, we go back home and junk. And when she went back home, or when she went to her car, she told her dad about it, or somebody who picked her up, right, from school, right? And then she told her mom about it, or whoever, right, her parents and stuff like that. And then her dad is pissed off, you know, he calls the school, right? And then eventually it all boils over into getting onto the news, right? And in the news, he gets interviewed, right? If you ever see the comments of that, okay, so I don't know if I'm lazy enough, right? Hopefully I'm not lazy enough, but I'm probably playing the video right now as I'm talking, right? The audio is probably off, right? But basically it's with this guy, right? And he's talking about it and stuff like that. If you ever seen like some of the comments are like probably like being like, who's this Jamie Foxx motherfucker? But nah, he was talking about it and stuff like that, and me and him share the same sentiment. Like, we're sharing the same about like how like it's customary, how like she said like it's customary in your culture to be loud and stuff like that. And the thing is though, is that we were all loud. Like, I will admit that shit. We were all annoying as a fuck in that class. We were just talking and talking, right? And from what I can remember, they weren't even talking that much, man. They were just like laughing and shit